Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us on today's weekly Success Builder call. Uh, as September comes to a close, it means not just that fall has finally arrived, but it also means that our presidency at NAMB changes. So our year runs from October 1 to September 30. So I thought this would be a great opportunity for us to speak to our current president, Jim Nabors, and just kind of talk about his successes of his presidency and, just kind of how we thought things went. So welcome, Jim.
Thanks. Thanks for inviting me. I greatly appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for being a part. So I know this was your second time being president. I think the first time was 2005. Is that right?
2005 to 2006.
So let's just I guess let me just start with this. I know we talked about questions before, but this wasn't one of those. So this is just off the top of my head. Um, what was different between the first time and the second time?
Well, the first time we had 28,000 members who employed over 500,000 people. We had $6 million in reserves, always a plus. We had 5 outside lobbyists we were paying from different firms. And our biggest success that year was working with the Department of Labor, which we spent 9 months on, so that working to get the right wording in our letter to the Department of Labor to get the response we wanted back, that mortgage loan originators could be paid commission instead of minimum wage, overtime, and then a much smaller commission. And that took 9 months. Joe Falk, who had been president in 2001 to 2002, was my GA chair, and we spent a lot of time in DC, just like we did with the Home Buyers Privacy Protection Act and the VA Home Loan Program Reform Act. We spent a lot of time in DC, and that happened to come out in May, and the annual convention used to be in June. So you change boards in June. So it was both it was hard, but it was a regulatory issue, and a lot of times people confuse things that are done by regulation as compared to things that are done by legislative, and we have to always be careful to be on both sides. Like when we work with Director Pulte, those are all regulatory issues. Working with Congressman Rose and Senator Reed, that's a legislative issue. So it does make a difference. So, but
Yeah. It is a fine balance between the two.
So, but as compared to this year, yes, after the meltdown, a lot of associations went out of business. A lot of lenders, particularly on the subprime side, went out of business. But we spent a lot of time. Oh, one thing I should mention, back then we had a full-time staff of 14 besides all those lobbyists. And this year, one of the first things we did was we had a staff of 2, you and Rocky Andrews. So I think based on volume, we're doing pretty good. The amount of work you 2 do is compared to the 14 or 15 of them that we had. And then the biggest challenge when I went around and I talked to people about what's the number one thing that NAM should be working on, and 95% of them said trigger leads. They're killing me. They're killing us. And that became our number one priority. We did have other priorities, and we worked on them. We pursued them. Like I said, the VA Home Loan Program Reform Act, when that came around because the VASP was eliminated as of May 1st, and that was even quicker to get done because there was bipartisanship on that, and NAM worked with the NBA, to help them come up with wording that everybody be happy with. And that sailed through, and in July, the president signed it. So it really is going to benefit. We have possible 75,000 veterans could have went into foreclosure. And this basically provided them an outlet to be able to stay in their homes. And that's the number one goal of being a mortgage broker, is not only helping people get in a home, but helping them stay in their home. So I thought that was really good. But the trigger leads, yes, was the number one. And we'd been working on it. I know I personally, the bill that we got introduced with Richie Torres was back in 2023. And we worked really hard on that, and we came this close to getting it passed, because we had it passed through the Senate unanimously in December of last year, and with Senator Jack Reed, and McHenry just wouldn't let it come to a vote in the House. It was, you and I spent a lot of time talking about it. At the end, we were part of the NADA. I'm sorry, the NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act. And then we got kicked out of that. And then we were in the continuing resolution at the end of the year. And at 4 o'clock we were in, and 5 o'clock we were out. So, and then it was starting from scratch, meeting with Rose, meeting with Torres, meeting with Senator Reed, and then, just multiple visits. I think over from the Ludge Conference, when it got introduced in April, till the time it got passed, or even after passed, I made 9 trips, visited 89 senators and congressmen, everybody that was on the House Financial Services Committee, everybody that was on the Senate Banking Committee, everybody from the state of Ohio, naturally, and then just some other people. And by being part of a coalition of people that, this time we thought, okay, we want to accomplish this, and enough people are in it. So yeah, it's working with the Independent Community Bankers Association, the American Bankers Association, the MBA, BAC, Veterans United, the AARP. I never thought on many things we would be on the same side as AARP, but this one, they saw the value of it too. And for then that to get passed, and of course, now the most common question I get is, when does that take effect?
Well, when does it take effect?
Well, it takes effect. Actually, we held a small fundraiser for Congressman Rose last Tuesday, and he's got the official date that it will be law is February 28th, because after the president signed it, which he just did, and Congressman Rose was at the signing ceremony that they had. It then goes to the FTC to write the rules. Congress passes a law, and then it's assigned to a department to write the regulations. And they're going to write the regulations, and then it's less than 60 days for those parties involved to be able to implement it, so that their system is set. So the credit bureaus have figured out how to turn that little box off that will let them sell trigger leads to other people. So it's kind of, I wish we could have done it faster, but and yes, we made some compromises. After 18 months after it takes effect, the GAO will do a study to see if trigger leads will have actually have been an advantage to the consumer or not. Doesn't say they can test to see if it was. They'll do some kind of study, and they have no idea. And when we talked to the congressman, he was like, he can't figure out what they're thinking either. But that was our number one goal, and we worked hard on it. And there's a lot of other issues we're working on. And my strength has been GA. I mean, there's so many other things we worked on. When you look at the fact that our membership is more than doubled, that's pretty good. That's our membership committee working really hard. Or on a Sunday, you sending me a new industry partner that wants to partner with us. which now moves it from 10 to 11 that we've either added as new industry partners or as just increasing the amount of involvement they wanted to be in NAM. And I thought that was good. I think on strategic alliances with me is technology. What do we add? Like 19 of them this year?
Oh, yeah, probably somewhere around there. It's
Yeah,
a lot.
19 new strategic alliances, which people that they felt their business would be better off working with NAM than whoever they had been working with before. And I think that's great. And then, of course, the one thing that I think that we don't spend enough time on is, and we're learning our lesson is communications. And we've done a much better job of spreading the good news of NAM and what we do. And I think our communications committee, the number of interviews that not only I've done, but asking you to do some, asking
Mhm.
Kimber to do some, uh, Mike DeSantis, Mike Farrell, because I'm not an expert on VA loans. So when somebody wants to talk, and this was a big difference in 2005, we'd get the questions, we'd send them to our VA expert, they'd give us the answers. And then when I did the interview, I could just basically quote what he was. And I was like, you know what? Why don't we just let the person that is our expert do the interview?
Mhm.
You know, besides, we want to recognize in this age where social media is what it's all about, we want to help people not only promote themselves and NAM at the same time, which benefits both.
Right.
And just as another reason why, do they want to watch a 71-year-old guy telling them how to do TikTok, or would they rather watch Matt Shield, who's 32, explaining to them how to do on our and chairman of our young professionals committee that came out of our membership on how to do a TikTok, or maybe somebody a little older but not 71 like you, who could say, "Hey, you make a video for NAM, send it to me, I'll edit it, send it back to you, you approve it, boom, it's done." So, but I think you're going to see, and feel free to jump in at any time. I think you're going to see Congressman Flood, who we tried to work closely with, and Congressman Cleaver are going to be introducing more legislation on affordable housing. And
Mhm.
one of the keys that we're pushing is that AMI can't be at 80. Too many people are being left on the sidelines. It's got to go to 100 or up to 130, and see the response that we get from them. We haven't given up on the GSEs, moving that refinancing from 12 months down to 6 months so people can take advantage of the lower interest rates. We haven't given up on loan level pricing adjustments, and that were increased under the previous director. That was pointed out to me, that was almost a DEI program to make housing more affordable to minorities, and should it not be moved down back to where it was? Would that not be part of the DEI plan? I'm like, I'll leave that to you, because I got, what is today? I got 8 days left. And finally, I think, and having talked to some people, the cost of insurance, we originally established a flood insurance because we were concerned about that. Then that became disaster insurance. And now it's all insurance, homeowners insurance. And I have talked to people just recently while I was in DC last week, uh, not only to hold a fundraiser for Congressman Rose, but to meet with two of our members, our incoming president-elect, Mike Farrell, and our current vice president, who's going to be vice president again, Mike DeSantis, at dinner, a dinner fundraiser with Congressman Flood. And then the next day, we all attended Senator Tim Scott, chairman of the Senate Banking Committee, his birthday, along with 43 other Republican senators, and got the opportunity to talk to him. And one of the things we're hearing about is in some cases, my greatest fear was that the actual cost of homeowners insurance would exceed what your payment and interest are on the loan. And they're seeing them in some states, like parts of Florida and
Yeah.
parts of New England and parts of California. And I'm like, when we had met with and Kimber will be doing a roundtable with Congresswoman Thomas in Miami, and we met with her, and she's like, "Well, I want you to speak on the panel." I'm like, "No, I'd be the wrong person." She was like, "Why? You don't like Miami?" And I'm like, "Who doesn't like Miami? Particularly South Beach. Who wouldn't like that?" You know, the problem is, I live in Cleveland, Ohio. My homeowner's insurance is $238 a month and includes my 4 cars. You need somebody when you're talking $6,000 to $9,000 a year in homeowners insurance. You need somebody who's a mortgage broker who's actually involved in that. And of course, Kimber's right there in that area. So
Yeah.
and she immediately was like, "Oh yeah, we got to have him." So because he understands the issue, because it's not you, it's not the same. Although my insurance has went up because uh, Safeco would still like to make a profit, just like every insurance company would want to make a profit. But the losses that they're taking in other states have to be offset somewhere. One is raising premiums a lot for the people directly affected, but those of us, misery loves company. So that's what. So I think did I cover pretty much everything that we've worked on or we're working on?
I think so. You touched briefly on the young professionals, which that has really taken off this year. Oh, well, NAM Hive, our online community that this weekly Success Builder call is part of.
Yeah. And
That has really increased traffic, and we're actually incorporating some parts of NAM Hive into NAM National for anybody that is going to attend. A shameless plug, October 17th to the 20th at Caesar's Palace. You can go to nam.org to
I don't
register.
understand why anybody wouldn't attend it.
Yeah,
One, it's free. Two, you can get your 8-hour continuing education there if you want. Plus, we'll be rolling out our new credit class,
yep,
certification class. We're also doing the FHA class,
yes.
the
And
reverse
the VA
class.
class. We're not doing reverse because
Oh,
we
we're skipping
actually have
that.
a virtual reverse class on Wednesday.
Yes, this Wednesday. And are we doing the CLVS class there too?
Yes, yep, we're doing the
So,
VA class also.
not only to become more professional in what you're doing, but when you look at our speakers that are speaking during the event over the 2 days, these are people that, could just help you be more successful. They're not going to be people just tell you, "Hey, look at how great I am." They're people that are going to tell you, "Look, I've had some success and let me help you be successful too." And they're not asking you to pay them thousands of dollars to be successful. To help you. They're giving you, and you may say, "Okay, I liked it. I didn't like this part," but it may whet your appetite and say, "You know what? I had never thought of this."
Hmm.
It's like last year when you, Rocky, and I went to the Ford event. And I'm like, I'm 70 years old. I'm never going to use any of this. But after attending, I'm like, we probably have a lot of members that want to be on social media. They want to be on, understanding how works, Facebook Live works, and want to know how to do TikTok or make a TikTok or Instagram, or just how to promote themselves and how often to post and all this stuff that, I'd be thinking, yeah, that's something. And to bring that to our membership, which we've done in events that, we partnered with Neil on at our event, and I think he'll be at Focus again in January, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And and then the other people, Notorious, who has participated, and just the
Paige, yeah,
stuff.
Paige Hernandez. She'll be on a women's panel at National.
Yeah, and the stuff that Ginger Bell puts together for us, which goes into Hive, and there's just so many. The future is all in social media, and it's all because it's all this thing's fault.
Yes.
And by the way, I met at least a dozen senators that felt that this was the worst thing to ever happen to us is having a cell phone. And depending, but most of them were older, some of them were older than I am. So, but the world communicates, no longer talks face to face. I call my kid, and the next thing I know is I get a text asking me, "What do you want?" And he's 36 years old, and I'm like, "I want to talk to my son." Um, but that's how they communicate.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty much. So, but I think we had a good team this past year. Keeping a watch on the clock too to see how much more time I get to talk. I think we did some good things. We got some other good things. That we got some other challenges. Loan officer compensation, the yellow comp that the CFPB's reviewing, which they're required to review, um, is something we have to make sure that our voice is heard so that they understand. And a lot of it is sometimes mistakes are made because they just don't understand and they don't talk to the right people.
Hmm.
And I think it was interesting when after the fundraiser that both Mikes attended, they came back and said, the congressman said, develop a relationship with your own congressman or your own state legislator who could someday be a congressman or a senator, so that when an issue comes up and they're like, this sounds like something that has involved mortgages, and I have a staff that's working on it, but why don't I get somebody whose actual opinion on this matters? And I laughed because in Ohio, when we wrote the first 3 bills that licensed mortgage brokers, um, Bob Ney was a senator, Mike Oxley was a senator, state senator, John Boehner was a state senator, and they went on to be, I don't know, chairman of the House Financial Services Committee, chairman of the House Subcommittee on Housing, and of course, Speaker of the House. So it was always nice to have a contact that, we had worked with them for years, and they're like, they understood how we talked and what we thought and felt comfortable with us. So anybody on this call, I'm like, if you're not talking to your state legislators who may be your next congressman, if you're not talking to your congressman who wants to be senator or your senator who wants to be governor, in the case, we had a close relationship with Mike DeWine because one of our members' sister was his chief of staff, and then now he's the governor of Ohio. So I think it's never too early, and you should never think, oh, they'll never want to talk to me, because people like to talk to people who can, one, vote for them, and two, have an idea, might be able to explain to them, how does this affect my constituents, is what they're all looking for. How will this affect, no matter what the issue is. And in our case, it's housing issues. This is what housing, and now we're becoming experts in insurance. Ross, our treasurer, who's volunteered to get involved in flood insurance because he's from Louisiana, and they see it much more than we see it up in Ohio, and has that has become almost could become a full-time job. Just
Yeah.
But it's nice we have that, and then of course, it's good that we have you and Rocky, so that there's always somebody who's catching stuff that we're not catching, because some of us are busy making loans. I know Rocky is, I know you are too. And then of course our lobbying firm. So the contacts that they put us in touch with, and sometimes having to explain to us, why do we want to talk to this person? And getting a better understanding of the advantages of it to us. So,
Well, on behalf of myself and the rest of the NAM board and the mortgage broker community, thank you very much for serving as president again. And I think, your NAM National tagline was "Go for the win." And just based off of all of that, it sounds like you had a lot of wins. So, thank you.
There's a team effort.
Yes, absolutely.
Anybody that says they did this on their own lies.
Yeah,
So, I want to thank everybody who's a member of NAM, whether they're dues paying members of NAM, which I prefer they be, or non-dues paying members of NAM and just take advantage of whatever we have to offer, which they still will. I want to thank them for, it's been a fun year, an interesting year. And who knows, maybe 19 years from now, I'll give it another shot. 90 could be the new 71.
there you go. Who knows what type of medical marvels will happen? You never know.
I could be part of that Putin Xi thing where they're talking about getting new hearts, new livers, new everything so that
Sure.
they can live forever.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Jim, for joining us, and thank you very much, everybody, for being a part of today's weekly Success Builder. This will be posted on the NAM Hive in the classroom section by the end of the day. So hope everybody has a great rest of your day and makes this week a success. So thank
Stay
you.
healthy.